Welcome to talkSPORT End Zone, our dedicated NFL YouTube channel. I'm Will Gavin, Brian T. Smith from talkSPORT.com.
Cheerio.
Alongside me, Brian does a brilliant list every week. That was useful to throw me off moment one. Does a brilliant list every week on talkSPORT.com, giving you the top 10 Super Bowl contenders. It's essentially our power rankings, just we're going to call it something different to try and be different. And look, Brian, with this list, we have to be really clear. Unlike our quarterbacks video, go and watch that, which is very much 2-week dependent. This is... Even though this team might not be living up to their performance.
This is a very, very serious list, Will, for like, if the Super Bowl was played tomorrow, I don't care what happened a week ago, these are the best teams in the NFL right now.
So let's come in, and we're going to do the top 5. You can get the top 10 at talksport.com. In at 5, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen is not getting talked about enough right now. Sean McDermott's doing a good job. Stephon Diggs is on another really good team right now. I don't know why. And everything that goes on in the NFL and all the drama and Bryce Young's horrible and Lamar Jackson can't win, on and on. No one's really talking about the Buffalo Bills. You could easily argue, maybe we will argue, that they could be higher on this list. They haven't really beaten anyone great yet. Can they beat the Chiefs? We can get into all that. But through 2 weeks right now, I cannot argue against the Buffalo Bills. They're top 5.
I really think early...
But you don't really like them, or what's going on?
No, I think early in the season, you have a problem with Thursday night football, right? Is that you get to Monday, you get to Tuesday, so much has happened, there's so much reaction, there's not enough of a body of work. People aren't looking at how dominant that win was over the Dolphins. The Dolphins team...
They're talking about Tua and the concussion and everything,
but... As much as Tua's concussion, horrendous story, the Bills' performance, they had already driven that team into the ground at that point and had absolutely dominated them and probably could have put 40 or 50 points up on them in this game. Honestly, they look like a complete and utter juggernaut. And actually, of the 3 AFC teams on this list for me, I think they are... I would have them...
Bump them up?
Yeah, we're not going to do this again. We did it with the quarterback list if you haven't watched that one yet. We'll keep the Bills in at 5. Right now, if they were going head-to-head with either of the 2 AFC teams ahead of them, I think in a one-off game, neutral field, I'd take them to win it right now, based on their form.
Before I forget, 2 teams kicked off this list, and you can read this at talksport.com. One of them has an incredibly overpriced quarterback, and one of them has quarterback issues.
The San Francisco 49ers, coming in at 4. 1-1. Big loss to the Vikings this week. And look, it's widely known that my affiliation is with this team, so I'm going to talk about them in a relatively biased fashion normally.
Are you going to say we?
Listen, I'm not going to say we. I'll hold off on that. I might say we by accident now, and people are going to call me out on it. What happened with us this week was... look, I think that Brian Flores defense... absolutely sensational. The performance against the 49ers and the way that they put the pressure on Brock Purdy was better than anyone I've seen do it apart from the Vikings last year. People will talk about it being a blueprint. I'm not sure there are any other teams in the NFL who can do the same thing right now based on what they have on defense and their coaching. And also, if I trust any coaching staff on the other side to react to this, or to react to the loss of Debo, or to react to the loss of Christian McCaffrey, it's going to be Kyle Shanahan and his team. So yes, right now 49ers fans are hurting, and they should be. It was a bad loss. But I would suggest that going into the coming weeks, going up against a Rams team who are moribund in week 2, I would fancy them to bounce back quite quickly.
And that's why I have them number 4 on this list. There's no way, even though that was disappointing and they didn't really show up and they had issues and Brock Purdy walks off praising Brian Flores, and somebody might eventually make Brian Flores a head coach again in the NFL. What a crazy thought, because he is pretty darn good. But the San Francisco 49ers are too good not to have on this list, not to have in the top 5. And I write about this in the story, Will. The thing that we're not talking about enough is Christian McCaffrey. Is just he's not playing. And we joked before, put him in bubble wrap. He doesn't really need to play until the playoffs, but you also have to have him. And I think we've seen again how, and he's Offensive Player of the Year for a reason. He's Mr. Do Everything. You run that offense through him. They're just not the same without him. And I thought that showed against the Vikings, but they're still a top 5 team.
Yeah, it did not click this week. I think they will figure it out enough if we expect him back within 4 weeks.
Number 3
now, there is a lot of...
Yeah, and number 3 coming up is kind of... I really struggled with this team this week because I have a funny feeling about them right now, but I don't know what you think.
I really feel like the Bills should be at least 3 on this list because they've been better than the 49ers, and they've certainly been better than the Detroit Lions so far. The Lions... coming out with a win in week 1, but in a wild game, and then not dissimilarly losing to a very good Bucs team. You could argue both the Bucs and the Vikings are 2 teams who, based on the first 2 weeks, are probably sitting just outside this list right now.
They're in the top 10.
But based on the coaching, based on the form that we know they have, the playoff run last year, the talent on there, we still back in the Lions?
I cannot not have the Lions in my top 5 Super Bowl contenders. Jared Goff has actually been, again, very, very good. Dan Campbell made a coaching mistake, which he is prone to do. This is a very talented Lions team. I had the number 2 the week before. I feel like everyone who knows their football still believes the Lions are a Super Bowl contender. And yeah, the Bucs have started hot. The Saints have started hot. The Vikings look good with Sam Darnold right now. I don't know how long that's going to last. I still believe top 5 team, top 3 team in the NFL, Detroit Lions. But they need to be a little more efficient at times. We saw that in the playoffs, right? They weren't able to finish. They'll be behind. I love Dan Campbell. Like, I love me some Dan Campbell. But I also sometimes question Dan Campbell. And sometimes he needs to be more like Bill Belichick and less like a WWE wrestler. Be a smarter coach at times. Get the best out of your team. In the end, you're supposed to win these games. He sometimes holds the Lions back.
Oh, yeah, brother. That game against the Cardinals this week, by the way, is one of the games of the week after what we saw from Arizona this week. I really didn't think this Cardinals team, I thought they were going to be plucky. I loved their performance against the Rams this week. So Lions, Cardinals, 9:25 this Sunday is going to be a barnstormer. Right, we do have 2 2-0s at the top of the list, which makes sense.
Chalk, baby.
And again, I think I might flip these 2. But it's your list.
Wait. Are you gonna break some news? Like,
it's your list. It's on the website. It has to be your list.
Wow.
You've got the Houston Texans at number 2.
The Houston Texans as a number. I just want the Houston Texans as the best team in the. My brain can't handle that. Number 2, Houston Texans, but they are doing everything right. I don't know how we got to the point in the NFL history where all we do is praise the Houston Texans and they figure everything out and they have an answer for everything and they have the perfect coach and the perfect quarterback and a really aggressive defense and they can punch somebody in the sideline and get away from it. That is the Houston Texans right now. They win primetime games. They're made for the bright lights. It's all working for them right now. And Will, every time that I or a fan says, okay, it's going to end at some point, right? No, they just keep getting better.
There is so much reason to have doubts going into this year, right? It's very difficult to do it year on year. They don't have necessarily that 3, like you look at a team like going back to the 49ers, there is an all-pro at every level of their defense. I think the Texans have Derek Stingley Jr. and then a lot of other really good guys.
Jalen Petrie says otherwise, but yes.
Yeah, based on performance again, but I wouldn't have had him there going into the season,
100%.
Right? So, yes, CJ Stroud is a phenomenon, but again, the run game was a huge question mark. Can Bobby Slowick take all that stuff he'd learned from the Shanahan-McVay tree and make it actually work this year? And it's just been the best first 2 weeks to prove every doubter, including myself, completely wrong.
And this is the first time in my life, in my career, I am not doubting the Houston Texans, but that's how good they have been. It's half DeMeco Ryans, but it's half CJ Stroud. And I'm amazed in the best possible way by his confidence, by his charisma, he's got this thing inside of him where he is so smooth, and it's not so much the swagger that we associate with some guys. There is a smoothness to him in his passing downfield, in his ability to run the offense, his ability to communicate, his ability to be a leader. He has been the perfect quarterback for them thus far, to the point that you now think they're the best team in the NFL.
Well, I want to be really clear to caveat that. Because I said I'd have the Bills above the Texans and our number 1 pick.
This is what you do. You kind of change it. You're one of those guys
I'm doing it on the way. Yeah, so 1, the Bills, 2, the Texans, 3, Brian's number 1 team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, I know that you are a Kansas City Chiefs hater.
They should be 1-1. There's no way they should have won that game of football. It's ridiculous.
Jamar Chase was a little smarter with penalties. And they haven't been great, right? And they have injury issues, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, and they have Andy Reid. And I'm sorry, this is for real, people. If we're playing a big game and it's the Chiefs versus the Texans, the Chiefs versus the 49ers, the Lions, God forbid the Cowboys, anybody, I'm picking the best version of chalk. I'm picking Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to win that game, and I still am in 2024 after 2 weeks.
And it's time and time again the problem, right?
Yep.
The Chiefs should have lost the Super Bowl last year, or actually the 49ers should have won the Super Bowl last year. 49ers should have won the Super Bowl. I fully agree with you. And they blew it. But the Chiefs found a way to win. They should have lost to the Bengals at Arrowhead, at Burrowhead as it would have been again. They found a way to win. And it's just what they do time and time again. And so many years during that Belichick Patriots era, you wouldn't put the Patriots necessarily at the top of the power rankings. You wouldn't necessarily have Belichick as coach of the year, even though he probably should have won it almost every year they went to the playoffs, which was every year they were in the league. But they always found a way that come the first week of February, they were playing in the big game, or at least getting to that AFC Championship game. And you feel the same about the Chiefs. I just think Pacheco down, Hollywood Brown down,
That's a lot of
Travis
names.
Kelce only 39 yards in the first 2
I'm
weeks.
not sure Travis Kelce can even play anymore. The way he's playing through the first, I'm sure he'll change it, but through the first 2 weeks, he's not even he's barely been on the field.
But I'm with you. I trust that they figure it out. So right now we still have the Chiefs in at 1, but there is a chance that they could be
Will has the
usurped.
Texans at 1.
I have the Bills at 1 and the 49ers at 2. I don't.
Oh my God.
So look, that's our top 5. You can check out talksport.com. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget, TalkSport End Zone, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This has been our Super Bowl contenders.